Good night, everybody. My name is Juvenal Gomez, and I'm here with another trade setup for you guys. I'm going to try to make this one quick since there is a lot to talk about on this trade. So, first of all, we're looking to the simple name SPX, which is the S&P 500. I'm currently short. I have about 4% of portfolio, and I'm shorting it through the ETF, the SPY, which is the Spiders ETF. So, let's dive right deep into the chart, right? So, let's go to the weekly chart, right? So I have this parallel that we connect from the COVID lows, from the bear market low of 2022, from the low on the October sell off on October 23rd, and then we have the liberation sell off, and then if you connect it to the high of the bull run of 2021, and then it connects actually to the pivot, you get a perfect parallel that gave us the top from over here, the recent sell off that we had on October, and you can see how it really tracks and gives good level of resistance and shows you how it was like very hugging this line, the top part of the parallel, and then it fell, got to the middle part of our parallel, and then that's where you got the bounce. And then if you follow this middle parallel line, you could see that it got resistance over here, came down, came up to it, resistance. When it confirmed, it tried holding the support, bounce. See how it tells the story nicely when you have this is how you know when your parallel is right, because it coincides with the bounces and resistance that you get from the parallel channel, right? And then if you go back into more history, look, it broke down here, come up here, it got rejected at the middle part of the parallel. So that's why, and that's how I know that the line or the parallel has significance, has teeth to it, and then that this is the proper way that the parallel has to be drawn, because it just respects the parallel channel from the top, from the bottom, and even the middle part of the parallel channel. So that's how I know that this parallel channel has significance and it has meaning. So one thing I want to point out is, so if we study the RSI, right? So the RSI, we do have divergence on the RSI, and this is something that I think everyone should be looking at, right? So if you connect the RSI high from March 25th, 2024, and then you connect from these highs, check this out. So you have high, lower high, and we're basically already rolling over here. We haven't made a higher high yet, so that would be a lower high. And if we zoom out, let me clean up my chart here so make it more clear, more bigger over here. And look what we have here. High, higher high, higher high, lower high, and then you had the sell off. So this was giving you a warning we had sell off here. But look at this, we made another all-time high over here, yet we're making a lower high over here. See? So this is actually a continuation of the RSI. And look, we made a new higher high here, and we're already rolling over, so we're making a lower high into the RSI. So this is a major problem, because if we cannot make a higher high on the RSI, this is telling you that this is a fake out and we're going to have a bigger move back down. So before anyone starts saying something crazy like a crash or anything like that, it's possible, but there's something that we have to talk about in the recent price action. So yes, we broke out this high, former all-time high right here, right? When you break out from an all-time high, price likes to retrace to retest it. So my thinking is we're gonna have a retrace to test the former all-time high, this area here, and then we're gonna see if it holds support. But my guess is we're not gonna hold support, because look at this move that we've had. Imagine like a rubber band, right? So we have a rubber band. This move is so stretched, it's so bloated. And like if we look at the daily RSI, we look at the, let me like pull it up right here, right? So our daily RSI is basically at 67.87 right now, but it was at one point above 70, 73.18. So it is like right now it's overbought, right? The market is completely overbought. Look at the up days, straight up into major resistance. We formed a topic tail, right? So we formed a topic tail, which is bearish reversal signals, and then we had a down move to date in the markets, right? And then if we study the intraday chart, you could see that you could see how it's just mostly sideways chop. This is more of like distribution, right? And if we pull in our volume, You could see how we have a distribution here, that there's actually more heavier. It's not really shown well here, but if you look at the spiders ETF, the volume there makes more sense there. But so far it's been trading with lighter volume here, but you could see that in the ETF, you could see there's more of a heavier volume on these cells, and then it's there's volume on the cells, but lighter volume on when it goes up. So this is telling you institutions are dumping on hard on the cells, and then they stop selling and they let the retail buy to float it up, and then they push it back down. Retail buys, they push it back down, so they're distributing their positions, right? So unfortunately, the volume indicator on the SPX isn't helping me out here to show you that. But if you look at to the SPY, it shows it more clearly, right? So don't take my word for it. Go look at the SPY and you will see for yourself. And as you can see, the other price action on the previous days as we go up, um, as we were going up, it's just been basically lighter volume days, right? So the market opens, we sell off, and then there's the light float up the rest of the day, and then you get another sell off, right? So markets have been doing and active in that way. That's how I know that it's mostly institutional money selling into retail. Another thing is we're in earnings season, so earnings season is another thing that's warning us because a lot of these reports are good, but they can't hold their gains. So that's a warning sign too. There, that's that's a red flag right there. That if good report and good earnings and they can't justify their valuations and they can't hold their gains, that's a big problem right there. Plus the Nvidia chart that we were talking about before, and we were talking about the 10-year bond that it's showing a bull flag. All those posts are on my channel if you want to do check them out, and they give more credence, they give more factors as to why I think there's going to be a pullback here. If the 10-year bond is telling us that interest rates are going to go higher, because it could be a basket of many things, right? It could be either the Strait of Hormuz, the war will escalate further. It could be very strong economic data, and the Fed can't cut, because if they cut too soon, too premature, then inflation will be soaring back. So that's a problem right there. Excuse me. And so there's so many factors as to why the 10-year bond can come up, but it's giving us a warning that the bond market knows something that we don't know, right? And I think soon enough we're going to find out, since we're already into major resistance into the parallel channel, topic tail, reversal. The RSI is extended. We're forming divergence onto the weekly on the RSI. Like I said, um, it has to make a higher high on the RSI on the weekly. If it can't, this is just a massive fake out, and we're probably gonna try to retest the all-time high and try to hold it, but I doubt we will hold it because just how the nature of this move is just so stretched. It's like a rubber band. Like I said, when the rubber band snaps, it's going to be a big pullback, not a small pullback. I think we're going to probably go back to the gap fill, in my opinion, my humble opinion. But we're first going to try to retest this all time high, and then see these pivots right over here. See, like minor, it pierces it here, minor bounce, touches it here, minor bounce, minor bounce. So this is minor support for me. So we might get a bounce there, but my base case is it's just so stretched. When the rubber band snaps, it's gonna fall here, try to hold support, and it won't hold. And then we'll probably try to test the small minor support level, and then we'll probably get to the gap fill over here. And then from there, I think we get a major bounce at the gap fill, and then maybe head a little bit lower, probably go to the middle channel, or we start coming back up from there. It's hard to tell from here what it's going to do. We need to take it one step at a time, but the RSI is giving us a warning there of the divergence that we see in the weekly chart. And then something else that is a little worrisome too is if you go to the 2-month chart, and if we study the RSI in the 2-month chart, This has shown us big moves in the market. You can also see right here, check this out. Look at that. Whenever you touch here, you have massive move to the downside, and it coincides with if these bigger correction moves, right? So correction move here, the COVID, the bear market, liberation sell off. It coincides with bigger sell offs, right? Bigger correction moves. So, and if we're already there touching it in the 2 month chart with divergence, it's telling you something. So you gotta keep that in mind, and so we gotta take out the bearish divergence on the weekly. Okay, so we have to take care of that. We're at the top part of the parallel channel. We have a topic tail, and we had a small reversal. And in the intraday price action on all these days, showing how retail or big money institution is selling and dumping it to retail. And since we're on earnings season, and all good reports that a lot of these markets are putting out there, they're great reports, but they can't justify their valuations, and they're selling off this even with good earnings. So that's a warning that the stock market is just so overvalued and so stretched. But there's nothing that says that we can't go higher, right? So for me to stop out of my short, I would need to see weekly closes above the parallel channel. So we have one weekly close above this parallel channel, but I want to see multiple weekly closes. Like on our other videos, I want to see a confirmation, right? So any close above the high from this breakout candle from the week from the parallel, which is around 2000 no $7,272.52. If we get a close above there on a weekly closing basis, then it gives it more credence that yes, we could go higher. And then I would consider maybe taking it off the and take a loss. But I want to see multiple weekly closes. I would rather see three, because why three or why two? Two minimum, but because when you're dealing with such a powerful pattern like this that goes such long time back, it's just you need to give it time to breathe. You need to give it space to do its thing and to prove itself, right? Plus, I've seen so many people and so many comments on other people's videos that they're like, "This is gonna be like the slow over here." The only problem with that is that when we had this V-shaped recovery, we were at the lows of the parallel. So this rally, this bull market makes sense that it happened. But look where we're at. Are we at the lows or are we at the highs? We're at the highs. So this is actually the opposite of what happened down here, where we were at the lows. It justifies to make a bull run, right? To go a move higher. We're at the top here. We we basically came back to the middle part of the channel. We rallied up. We have divergence, and we're into major resistance. Yes, we have a weekly close above. We haven't had confirmation yet. So I want to see confirmation and multiple weekly closes above to see if it really has strength, and if it could take away the negative divergence on the RSI and the weekly and the 2 month. Remember that 2 month pattern. So keep that in mind. And then if you look at the QQQs, it's basically the same thing. It's just basically the same thing. So I'm also short the QQQs. So, but I'm a little bit more lighter in the QQQs. So 4% on the SPX, 2% on the QQQs. So we'll see what happens here, but this is just something I'm looking. So, like I said before, we're probably gonna retest the former all-time high, but my base case is we're gonna go back to the gap window here, minus support level here. That's 6,780, and maybe fill the gap, and then from there we gotta reassess and reevaluate. Are we gonna go higher or are we gonna go lower? Is there gonna be a pattern forming? Um, it's too soon to tell. But right now, I think the high probability is that we're going to get some sort of a pullback here. All right. Plus, on our NVIDIA short, if you can see the NVIDIA chart, the it looks pretty weak, and then a lot of these other positions that we have give us clues as to what the market is probably going to do. And if you put all the pieces of the puzzle together, it makes sense. It makes sense. The 10-year bond market is giving us a warning. Dollar General, if these retail stores, discounted stores are doing good, it's telling you that the consumer is struggling, so that's bad. And then if you look at um, like I said, the Nvidia chart, all these semiconductors, how stretched they are, and the moves that they've had is so ridiculous. At this point, we're playing like musical chairs, right? I told my friend this before when we were shorting car. I'm like, "Ooh, I love playing musical chairs. Let's see who becomes the bag holder, right?" And it's the same thing, you know. Right now we're playing musical chairs here, except it's not gonna be as dramatic as car, you know, like where you can get 80% in like 2 days, a decline of 80% 2 days. I don't think that's gonna happen in the S&P 500, where it's gonna be more like a down and then up and then down and then up. It's gonna be a slow process, but I do think we will get that correction sooner rather than later. And plus, we got economic data coming through. I think the unemployment rate is going to be on May 8th, so 4 days from now. We got non-farm payrolls. We got the JOLTS opening, so there's going to be a lot of economic data coming through. But we'll see what happens in this market. But I do think the S&P 500 is a short, along with the um, Nvidia, a lot of these tech stocks, and yeah. So we'll see. We'll see how it turns out to be here. All right. So thanks for the. It was a longer video, but hope this helps.